All right, so I'm just gonna pick up where I left off and try to kind of finish up the first um, feature view visits to get started and see how this recorded thing kind of works. These aren't going to be as polished as the average YouTube video you watch, but yeah, so I'm just going to kind of think out loud and work through things. So basically, right now we've got our tokens split up. Our tokens are going to be uh, what is in this CSV file separated out. So it's going to be the date, then the time, then the notes, and then the length and the amount, all as separate tokens. So I've got all those tokens and I've parsed them into an object. So now I'd like to um, display those visits in some way. So I'm going to, instead of just using the toString of the visit, which is what's happening here, I'm going to kind of create a display method on the visit object. So I'm going to go to visit, and at the bottom I got this toString, but I really want another, something similar to this, but that's job is to display the, I'm just going to call it display, to display a visit. This will be used to kind of turn the visit into the format that will be stored in the CSV file, to turn it into CSV format. So this will return a string, display, no usages yet. So I at least have all my data here. How do I want to do this? So I could just simply kind of change this to maybe start up on this line. And a lot of times things, it's nice when things have labels, but it's also nice, sometimes it's okay to just have content kind of organized well so you could easily read it if you're consuming it. I'll start with kind of labels for each of these things. So I'm just putting colons after it, so I'm kind of treating each of these as a label for each. And I want a new line, a blank line in between each. So I'll start each with one of these slash n's, right? We'll see what this ends up looking like. I'm going to put the slash n right up against the content, which kind of reads weird. Do I want a space in there? Maybe, maybe not. So endnotes, that'll be, and I'm getting rid of this parenthesis at the end. I don't really need that. Come up to here. So I'm just kind of trying to organize this like how I might want it to look on the screen, and then I'll take a look at it and see if it makes any sense if I fill up an object. So I've got notes, visited on, the notes come out, and what do I want here? Length, I want on the end of here the word minutes, right? So we know that that length is in minutes. And then this we would want is going to be a dollar amount. So I'm just going to put a dollar sign before this. And then I could use string.format to format this. Let me not do that yet. I'm kind of leaning towards maybe using a string.format instead of all these plus signs on this. But let's just see what it's looking like. So in order to see what this looks like, I come over here, and instead of saying visit, which we'll call toString, I'm going to call visit dot display and run the program and see kind of where we're at. So where's my runner? Here's my runner to run my app. Empty character literal, so I didn't close something right. So it thinks this is really going to do nothing, it's trying to tell me, by having an empty character literal there. And I think that's true. What doesn't it like about this? Too many characters and character literal. Okay, so what's going on here is I'm used to JavaScript and I'm used to single quotes, but all the strings need to be double quoted there. So that's that problem. And then here, the problem is insert return, not a statement. Oh, I need a plus at the end of this line, so it joins with that line. Let's try to run it again. And I'll say that I want to view visits. And not quite what I was hoping for, but we can get there. So I've got visited on this date. The /n's don't seem to be creating new lines in this scenario. Probably has to do with the fact that I'm not using string.format here. So I think I'm just going to switch this over. Let's see if IntelliJ will help us here. Let's see, parameter, format code. It's not really what I want. So I'm going to start over from scratch and just see what I can build up. It might be faster, I'm thinking, to do that. So another thing I do is use a string builder, right? We learned about string builders to display this, and that would be more efficient. Probably not critical here, but I am going to do a lot of them. So I can do printf, but I want a bunch of new lines. Let's try a string builder. So I'm gonna create a variable here called string builder, and I'll say builder equals new string builder, and then basically the method is append. So I'll say builder.append, and I'll append on. I'll start by appending visited on, and I'm not going to label it this time. I'm just going to output the data. And then is there a difference? If I want to create a new line, what did we figure out that we need to do? Append/new basically. So I'll create new lines between everything. I'm going to kind of put them on separate lines like this, and then I'll say /n for new line, and then I can keep chaining these. So I'll do .append and the notes. Why doesn't it like notes there? Is it just that I haven't put a semicolon here? Yeah, okay. I'm going to keep appending, so it doesn't understand me yet. So I'm going to put another space, blank line, new line underneath that. And then I'm going to append the minutes. And if I just output the length, and then I add to that, oh yeah, that's what I did, is I put the new lines when we were doing the example on the same line. So it's kind of like, you know, you append this and then you do a new line, right? So it kind of might read a little better. Then I append notes and do a new line. Then I append length and do a new line. But before I do a new line here, I want to say append, and I want to put the word a space and the word minutes, right? So visited on, append. That'll serial. We might have to format this string a little more specifically to our once here. But yeah, this is looking kind of like what I want. So all I need to do is return something at the end. What I want to return is take my builder that's building up the string and say toString. if I did all that right, let's try it again. We should see some progress. What I want to do, view my visits. I don't know if that's progress, but getting there. It really doesn't want to put it on a new line for me. So the time, we'll have to format this date. It's like my new lines aren't working. I think I've got them, I got the slashes the wrong direction. So it's a backslash, right, when you want to do a new line. So I'll change these to kind of a leaning backwards slash. And let's try it again. Ah, now we're getting somewhere. Yeah. And you know what I kind of might like is you put the date up here and the time, maybe we format it better, but then right next to it we just put the 20 minutes, kind of like if you're laying out like a web layout, like a card, that sort of thing. So I'm going to try to put this on the same line as this and see how it looks. Just out of curiosity here. I think it's going to look good. We'll need some space in between them though. So we'll do visited on, and then we need a little bit of space. Maybe a tab would do. So I'll do append, and someone just taught me, you guys know who it is, that do a tab in there. Let me try that. This always throws me that I have to enter something right away. This is weird. It's doing that. It's kind of returning me to the main menu again too fast, kind of. But I'll just pay attention to my formatting here for now. So I'll have a date and a time, and then a number of minutes. I still got the number of minutes down here. How do I want this formatted? Probably want to say, so I might say 10 minutes, but there's, so I want it, maybe I say January whatever, or you know, this is April 26th at 9:15, and then 10 minutes, right? And then quick potty. So I think I'm getting in the right direction. It seems like I have kind of messed up my menus here, but that's a separate issue. So I'm going to get rid of this. This is doing me no good. This right here I have twice now, right? I don't really need that. And yeah, let's run it one more time. Oh, there, I must have just hit enter last time, so maybe I didn't mess up my menus. That's good relief to me. So I've got, all I need to do is really format my date, so it'll say like, you know, February 5th or whatever at 8:30 p.m. or a.m., and then say how many minutes it is. So that'll require me to use a date time formatter, and I don't remember all my date strings, but we'll give it a shot here. So if I want to format this date, up here I'm going to create, yeah, right now, why not lay out the format up here? And actually the format might be kind of a, like, it might end up being something that I share multiple places, so I might promote it to the top of the visit class or to some common place where I can get to it. But let's just start with it here. So I'll say what's it called? Local date time formatter? Or is it just date formatter? Yeah, date time formatter, I believe. Let me find an example here in the workbook. So if you're trying to look something up, I'm in workbook 3. When we talked about dates, we're coming here. So working with date parts, date time formatting is 212. So I'll click on that, come here, get some information. Yeah, it's date time formatter, so I'm in good shape. But this stuff will be helpful to me to say Sunday at December 5th, 3:10 p.m. So I'm going to actually maybe steal this formatter here, this format string. It's pretty close to what I want. And I'll say format equals new date time formatter. Date time. Oops, I didn't put a T in there. That's why it's having trouble. Date time format. Does it need to be a builder? I don't think I do. It should be date time formatter again. I just can't get it to autocomplete very well. So I'm just going to copy it from over here. Dot of pattern. And I'll put that pattern that I've got on my clipboard into there. And oops, I don't have it on my clipboard anymore because I copied date time formatter from over there. So let me come back over here and copy this and paste it in here. And it really doesn't like of pattern. Did we bring date time formatter in from the wrong kind of import? It's weird. New date time. Maybe I don't say new date time formatter. I don't. It's just a static method. Of pattern is a static method. It belongs to the class. I don't need a new there. And that's why it wasn't auto-completing as well for me. Okay, so I've got that pattern going. And then if I want to apply that pattern, I basically go to the date and I can't even remember how to do it. Let's see. We take the date and we call format on the date and pass the formatter. That makes sense. So we got our date. I call dot visited on dot format, and I format it as this format here. And so we should get a some different output here. Let's try it. Yeah, that's looking better. Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. At 1930. So I've got the military time going on there. So I might need to change that to like the AM, PM style of time. I might have to do some messing around with conversions there, so I might let that go for the recorded version. Let's see. I'll give it a first try. So hours, minutes, seconds. We really need hours and minutes. We don't really care about the second I was there. Is this not appropriate if I just say hours and minutes? Maybe I just deleted the wrong thing there. Let's try that again. There we go, 1930. And yeah, the question is, How do I do AM, PM? Is this day, DD versus DD? Let's look at some of the values we have. Well, we're talking about times though. Let's look here. Month, day, year. Here's a good site that we linked. Let's go out and kind of check it. This is talking about time zones and stuff though that we don't really want to have to deal with yet. Okay. So I want minutes, or I want time basically in AM, PM. So here, HH upper is a 12-hour, or lower is at a 12-hour clock. HH upper is a 24-hour clock. So I probably want a lower HH followed by an A. So I'll come here and make this a lower HH followed by an A, and then the minutes after that. Let's see what that does. Yeah, that table's really useful there, so definitely look in the workbook. Oh, I've got this kind of backwards, right? I want my hours and minutes together, and then I want the A at the end, right? Hours, minutes, AM, PM there, okay? So we'll try that again. Here we go, Tuesday, May 20th, 2025, 11:45 a.m., 40 minutes, walked Finn along the park trail. You see how sometimes you can label things, but sometimes it's kind of unnecessary to label this like notes, right? If you just kind of lay it out in a sensible way that you would, in a kind of readable way. You could totally label things, right? Call this, visited on, call this visited at, right? And call this notes, right? But this is a very readable kind of log or interface. I think my only question in my brain is, would it look better with like, a line in between each of these maybe? So at the end, but I think that might be overkill, or a box around or something. But it's just something you got to play with. I'm going to start by throwing maybe a line at the end. So after the notes, I'll say dot append, and I'll add another here, and I will, just kind of throw a line in there. Oh wait, I need the new line first, right? I want notes, then a new line, then I want to dot append a blank line essentially there. But I put the blank line in, you see how it's red? It's because it's not a string, right? I have a string builder and I'm not building a string across there. We'll make it pretty darn long for the first try here and see how it looks. This is where like tests can come into play. Do you see how I have to keep typing 1 here to get to screens and stuff? Yeah, that's pretty good. I might even make that line a little bit longer, but I think that's an improvement. The question, do I want a space at the top? Do I want it at the bottom? Do I want more space at the top or as well? So I could continue to play with that. I'll let you guys do your own thing there, but I think you get the idea of how you could, kind of show all the visits and see a nice view of them. Do I want to make that line longer? I'm never gonna win, right? It's gonna have to be super long, but let's literally make it twice as long. Copy that here. See if it starts looking worse or better. I think that's better considering how long the notes are usually. Right. I might, you know, I might not need a line that long if I like had the notes wrap, allowed the notes to kind of wrap or allowed people to put new lines in the notes. Um, maybe did some natural wrapping. I'm not sure command lines are going to be too helpful for this, so I'll call this um, good enough for now and stop this recording and say, hey, I'm done with the with this first task. I'm happy with this screen for now. Okay. Enter, return to main menu. Did I hit enter? No, I hit something else. And then 4 to exit, and I'm out of here. Goodbye and goodbye. I'll see you in the next movie. Yeah, I think this is the gold here, this Java time zone pattern table here. And that again was linked in the workbook right here, right on page 43 in the datetime formatter section. All right, I'll see you in the next video.